Most compliments are forgotten before they even land. Why? Because they're shallow, predictable, and spoken from a place of wanting something back. But a true compliment, one that resonates, comes from stillness, from observation, and from a man who doesn't need validation to speak truth. This video isn't about charm or tactics. It's about words that carry weight because they come from awareness. Stoicism teaches that we speak little but speak with intent. So when you offer a compliment, it shouldn't be for approval. It should be because you saw something most missed. A woman can feel that difference. She's used to attention. She's not used to clarity. Compliment her presence, her awareness, her effect on the room, not just her looks. And she'll remember you, not just your words. So here's your challenge. What's the most meaningful compliment you've ever given? Drop it in the comments, and if you're tuned in with us, include the word mind, so we know you're not here to impress. You're here to understand. Let's break down the 8 compliments that actually matter. This isn't the kind of compliment she's used to. Most people praise confidence only when it's loud, when it walks fast, talks fast, and takes up space. But when you tell a woman, there's a confidence in your stillness, you're pointing out something rare, that her strength isn't in her volume, it's in her restraint, in how she holds herself, in how she doesn't need to prove anything to be noticed. This kind of compliment stands out because it speaks to how she exists, not just what she does. Maybe she listens more than she talks. Maybe she makes others feel calm without saying a word. Maybe she doesn't rush to fill silences because she's comfortable in them. When you reflect that back, you're showing her that you see a quality in her most people overlook. Not her beauty, but her self-possession. From a Stoic perspective, this is where observation becomes power. You're not trying to flatter. You're naming something true, delivered with a composed tone and no expectation. This kind of compliment says far more about you than her. It shows that you value quiet strength, the same kind you carry. That you recognize confidence not in performance, but in presence. And when a woman hears this from a man who clearly isn't seeking validation, it lands differently. It hits deeper. It doesn't just make her feel attractive, it makes her feel respected. Not for her effort, but for her essence. And in a world where everyone's trying to impress her, that level of still recognition is what makes you impossible to forget. This isn't a compliment about intelligence. It's about awareness. When you tell a woman, you see what others miss, you're acknowledging something most people don't. Her ability to read between the lines, to catch subtle emotional shifts, to sense what's happening without needing it spelled out. You're not praising her memory or logic, you're recognizing her instinct. This compliment lands hard because it makes her feel understood. Many women are constantly told they overthink or are too sensitive, when in reality they're often just tuned into things others overlook. When you reflect that back, not as a flaw but as a strength, you shift the entire frame. You're not trying to flatter. You're speaking into something real, something she's likely felt her whole life but rarely had acknowledged. The Stoic man sees without needing to be seen. So when you deliver this compliment, do it with that same quiet energy, no buildup, no need for her to agree. You simply say it, then move on. That calm, precise delivery reinforces the message. You're sharp enough to notice her clarity and centered enough not to be impressed by it. That balance is what makes the words stick. And here's what happens next. She starts to show more of that perception. Why? Because you didn't compliment her for being attractive or entertaining. You complimented her for being herself. You made her feel valuable not for what she gives, but for how she sees. That's rare, and that's what makes your words echo long after you've said them. Most compliments are about outcomes, how someone looks, what they achieve, how they carry themselves in moments of ease. But when you say to a woman, The way you handle pressure says a lot. You're acknowledging something deeper. Her composure in difficulty. You're not praising the result. You're recognizing who she becomes under tension. That's a compliment built on respect, not attraction. Why does this matter? Because many women walk through life being judged by appearance or social performance. Very few people notice or value how she reacts when things go wrong. Maybe she stays calm when others lose control. Maybe she doesn't argue when emotions are high. Maybe she faces uncomfortable truths instead of escaping them. When you point that out, you're telling her, I see your inner strength, not just your outer presence. From a Stoic perspective, this is the kind of compliment that carries weight because it mirrors your own value system. You're saying, I respect calm under fire, not drama, not reaction, but restraint. And when you offer that kind of recognition without emotion or agenda, it creates instant respect because it shows you live by the same code. Strength isn't just what you say, it's what you acknowledge in others. When a woman hears this, she remembers it. Not because it flatters her ego, but because it validates something earned. It tells her you're paying attention to the part of her that doesn't perform. And in a world obsessed with surface, that kind of focused attention isn't just attractive, it's rare. Rare enough that she won't forget you either. In a world full of loud personalities and overstimulation, few things are more powerful than a woman who brings calm into a space. When you say, you bring peace into a room, you're not commenting on her mood, you're acknowledging her effect. Her presence lowers the volume, her energy creates stillness. That kind of impact doesn't demand attention, it earns it quietly. This compliment stands out because it recognizes something that can't be faked. You're not talking about looks, charm, or even confidence. You're naming the emotional atmosphere she carries with her. Maybe she listens without interrupting. Maybe she doesn't rush to speak, but when she does, it matters. Maybe she's the one people turn to when things feel out of control. That's not coincidence, that's emotional strength. From the Stoic lens, peace is the highest form of power because it requires mastery over self. When you acknowledge the peace she brings, you're showing her that you value intention over intensity. And because you're saying it from a calm, centered place, she knows it's real. There's no performance in your tone, just truth, delivered with clarity. And here's the deeper impact. When you make this kind of observation, she feels safe in your presence. Because you didn't praise what's obvious, you praised what's earned over time, her emotional maturity, her presence, her ability to steady a moment just by being in it. That's not just a compliment, it's a mirror. One that reflects something very few people ever take the time to see. Attractive women hear about their looks constantly. Compliments like, you're beautiful, or you look amazing lose their meaning because they're handed out thoughtlessly, often with a motive behind them. But when you say, you don't just look good, you carry intention, you're saying something most men never even think to notice. You're pointing to how she presents herself, not just what she looks like. This compliment speaks to depth. Maybe it's the way she dresses with care, not for attention, but with purpose. Maybe it's how she moves with a quiet awareness, or how her style reflects something more internal. Discipline, creativity, presence. You're not praising her for being attractive. You're respecting the thought behind her appearance. That's a subtle but powerful difference, and she'll feel it immediately. From a Stoic perspective, you're aligning with a principle. Nothing is random in the life of a person with self-respect. When you say she carries intention, you're recognizing that she chooses how she shows up. That tells her you're the kind of man who notices the details that matter and doesn't settle for surface-level perception. It also signals that you hold yourself to the same standard, measured, present, intentional. And what does that do? It pulls her out of the usual script. You're not praising what everyone sees, you're validating what only a focused man would notice. That's where real intrigue is built, not in trying to impress her, but in proving, without trying, that you observe her alignment, not just her aesthetics. That one sentence makes you unforgettable because it shows you see beyond the obvious, and that's the compliment most women are waiting for. Real compliments don't chase reactions. They reflect truth. They come from presence, not performance. And when you speak from that place of stillness, a woman doesn't just feel flattered. She feels seen. That's rare. That's what separates men who memorize lines from those who actually observe. Stoicism isn't about silence. It's about intentional speech. Every word has weight because nothing is said just to fill space. The compliments you've seen today aren't tools, they're reflections. They show her you notice more than looks. You see character, depth, presence, and most importantly, you express it without trying to get anything in return. That's what makes your presence uncommon and your words unforgettable. If you're walking that path, drop the word mind in the comments. It lets us know you're not here for gimmicks, you're here for grounded strength. This is masculine, stoic mind. Say less, see more, stay sharp.